What up guys, Sinapse here. Today I want to talk about maximizing the girl's investment and compliance while minimizing your information that you give to her, essentially. Alright, now what does that mean? All I'm trying to say is that essentially when you're creating, whatever you're doing something that demands something of her, right? A lot of guys try to over-explain things or oversell things as if it, needs to be sold, right? An example of this would be like a date, right? I had a friend, good wing, but when he was starting out, basically what he would do is he would invite girls to some very superfluous date. He would make sure that he found cool pictures of this really cool kind of cafe that looked really oshare and nice with lots of cool designs and decorations all over the ceilings, and just some place that looks really nice and appealing that the girl would want to go to. All right. Why is this kind of the wrong approach? Okay, essentially at every stage when you want her to come out, when you want her to bounce with you to another location, what you want is her to come to be with you, okay? Not to be on this, not for the activity, okay? It's very important that it's about you and her hanging out and talking and not that much about the activity, all right? So when you're inviting girls on dates, when you're trying to get them to bounce, like if you met the girl on the street that very moment and you're trying to get them to bounce, you want to say something very minimal on the bounce, like, oh, let's go, kanpai shio, all right? Toriaizu kanpai shio, something like this. Very simple. Now, why do you want to do this? Essentially, the more information. Let's say you say, oh, like karaoke go. Let's go to karaoke, right? Well, what's gonna happen then? Well, the girl maybe, oh, I don't like karaoke. I don't like singing, right? Or oh no, what? Maybe she has some weird trauma in karaoke or something. Okay, you don't really know. On top of that, what if you walk for a while and the karaoke is closed? Then what's your plan, right? Or let's say it's full, or you can't find another one, or whatever. Much better to get her to invest in bouncing with you, to have another drink, to have a drink, right? So you meet a girl on the street, or in a cafe, or in a library, or in a whatever, some sort of parade. You meet some girl, and you're like, well, hey, let's go have a drink. Right? It's very vague, and that vagueness gives you leverage to get in. All right. Now, similarly, when you're opening, you don't want it to be super clear exactly why you're talking to the girl. Now, why is that, right? Essentially, why that is because she's forced to pay attention to you until she figures out why the fuck you're talking to her, right? So if you're talking to her, if you go up to her and you say, oh, where's the nearest Starbucks? She knows immediately that she knows, one, okay, this guy's looking for directions, but two, probably not, he's probably just trying to pick me up. Unless you're going after like 5s and 6s and 7s or whatever, who may be like kind of dumb enough to give you directions and then like, oh my god, he transitioned and now I kind of like him. Look, like, if it's any girl that's reasonably attractive, she's going to know exactly why you're talking to her, and that weak shit is not going to work, okay? So at the same time, being super direct, super straightforward doesn't usually work because it's too much, it's giving her too much validation from the beginning. So, oh, you're so beautiful, I just had to come meet you or something. It can work, and I recommend doing that if you're crunched for time or something and you have to make it very clear and get her number within 30 seconds or something. Then yeah, sure, do it. But most of the time you get the most value from dragging out the reason that you're approaching her, right? And you combine that with powerful sub-communications and masculinity, okay? So eye contact, voice tone, all these very fundamental things which are incredibly important, combined with ambiguity about your intentions, all right? And that's one example, right? The approach. Another example that I mentioned before is the date, right? You could say, oh, like, come out, we're gonna kanpai, or come out, we're gonna have a drink. I'll meet you at 9 p.m. in Shibuya or whatever, right? So what's going through her mind when you invite her out like that, right? First of all, it seems very casual, right? He's not making a big deal out of it, which means you must be getting laid, right? You must be meeting a lot of girls, right? if you're not making a big deal out of meeting her. Second of all, she gets a little bit of doubt. She's like, well, what is this? Like, is this just a social drink? Is it going to be people there? Is it just me? Or like, what's happening, right? She doesn't know where she stands, right? And the girl should never know 100% where she stands with you, right? The second that she knows you like her, the game is done, right? You're cooked, you're baked, you're finished, okay? Now, that's not to say you can't say something nice about a girl. Now, I don't really like complimenting girls, and I think, to be honest, you don't need to do it at all. But for the most part, it's better to leave them questioning and wondering where they stand with you. So if you get girls asking you like, well, what do you like about me? Well, why do you like me, right? That's kind of a good thing, right? Because it means that you're doing the right thing. You're leaving it ambiguous enough, you're sparking enough curiosity in her, and you're using ambiguity about your intentions as a kind of a leverage to open the interaction, to continuing the interaction longer. All right? So, what am I trying to say ultimately? In all these situations, whether it's opening, inviting a girl out to a date, or even in a relationship, use that ambiguity to your advantage, okay? The second you define it, the second she knows where you stand, the second she knows too much about the plan, gives her a very easy way to shut it down, all right? She should never be 100% sure. And this way, she's falling into your frame, she's complying with your requests or demands, she's on your agenda, on your path. And this is going to get you laid much more than over-explaining things, trying to sell the idea of the bounce or sell the idea of the date, or trying to clarify exactly what we are in this relationship, okay? So the ambiguity is powerful, right? All right, guys, see you next time.